In the books. How you feeling, Rube?
Feel better.
Good. Good.
Yeah, feel good.
You looking better than you were yesterday. I was a little worried about you making it through the pod.
I was too, but we got through it, and worse is behind me.
Yeah, you're out at practice today. Feel good to be back?
Yeah, because I missed one day.
I know, but if I missed one day, I'd be.
It was
my mind.
It wasn't easy. I mean, I was like trying to follow along on everyone's Twitter, and then there'd be like 10 minutes without a tweet. I'm like, what's going on?
You know what's funny? Like the first day of training camp, I kind of tweet a lot. I take a lot of photos. By day 9, I'm like, I'm saving it for my observations. I got to write later.
Yeah. And I'm not big on live tweeting. I mean, because in the big picture,
it's tough to miss stuff too. Like, you're tweeting, you miss a play.
Yeah, because it takes. I mean, first of all, it's hard to see your phone because of the glare on a sunny day. So, like, if I have to tweet something, I'll have to go like back into the shadows, like next to the bleachers or something. And then like by the time you open up the app and start, oh, there's a typo. I just spelled. The last thing you want to do is spell a player's name wrong. Now you hear a big roar over there, and you miss something. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good to be.
Do you keep your phone all the way brightness, like all the way up normally?
Yeah.
I know, like if I'm inside, I don't. When you're outside, you kind of have to.
You have to. Yeah.
You're always a brightness all the way up guy. It drains the battery faster.
Yeah, but my phone, the battery lasts forever because I have a Droid, and you don't.
I'm
proud Droid guy.
I'm a proud iPhone guy because I'm a normal person.
I could go a week without charging my phone. It would be on 88%.
That's nice.
Yeah. So I don't really worry about that. Plus, like I have a charger in my car, so whenever I get in the car,
that's the same thing. I always plug my phone in the car, so I never have to worry about it that much.
Yeah, I never have to charge my phone inside. As long as I'm driving somewhere.
I have a little like charging pad on my nightstand, so I just like drop it on there when I go to sleep.
Yeah, I don't need to because I have a Droid.
Yeah, and you also don't get messages sometimes.
That's not my fault. That's another story.
All right, let's get into practice today. Over at the Linc, they switched it up a little bit. It was not a public practice. There were, the same amount of fans that are normally at the NovaCare complex.
There was a lot of fans there.
I think it's about the same amount because it's a smaller area. It's only around one field, whereas at the
right. But there were people in the stands too.
I think it was around the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seemed like a lot.
I think it looks more congested because there's less area for them to stand.
Yeah, there's no tents usually.
No tents. There's the bench where the players are. You couldn't stand that, so it was like in these tiny little pockets of people.
Yeah. So there were some fans there, but not many.
Looked like they were working on some communication stuff.
Yeah.
They had the headsets out. I guess this is a chance to kind of run through. It was a lot of situational work. It was kind of move periods. There were some backed up periods in this practice.
It was a sloppy practice.
Yeah, I mean, for a practice where you think they're trying to focus on communication and getting calls in or delay a game, there were some pre-snap penalties.
Yeah.
You'd rather have them now than when it matters.
Yeah, and I wonder if part of that is they were just in the Linc a few days ago for the open practice, but just getting players acclimated to being in that space and the high sky and the stand. I don't know. They're going to have to make plays in that building. So for the new guys, they don't get that many opportunities. A couple preseason games.
Forgive my ignorance here. What does that mean? The high sky.
High sky. I don't know. Just
is it higher at the Linc than?
Yeah, it is. The sky is higher. Or just like.
Is that a phrase?
High sky. Yeah.
Oh.
Just I guess if you're. I mean, it's not a literal thing. The sky's not really higher. Only the sky really has a height. It's not a thing.
Yeah. What does it like? What does it mean?
It just means like when it's so wide open, there's more sky, I guess. So like if you're trying to field, a deep ball, like there's no trees like at the NovaCare.
Oh, okay.
And there's no, I guess, landmarks. There's nothing. There's just the sky.
Okay.
We used to, yeah, I don't know, just high sky.
All right. Sorry, I never heard that.
It's not a literal. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that. Nice to be over there, though. We have a bunch of observations.
I remember when I was a kid, the first time I got an airplane, and I remember asking my mom, it's like, because we're going up and up, and I'm like, when are we going to get to the sky? You never really do.
Or you're always there.
Well, but you never.
Trippy, man.
Yeah. Just put on some hot tuna. We'll have this conversation. Right. Anyway.
Yeah. You want to just dive in?
If there's anyone left out there, yes, let's go.
All right, let's dive in. No Devontae Smith missed practice for personal reasons, so We saw a little bit of not that it's good to not see him at practice, but it does give you a sense when a guy's missing who fills in. It was Quez Watkins, I think we'd suspect, as the other outside corner. Then Olamide Zaccheaus filled in as the slot guy. Injury report: Patrick Johnson, Deion Kane did not practice.
Ankles.
Yep. The good news here: Nakobe Dean back at practice in a limited fashion.
Ankle. That was good. And Nick said Sunday, I think it was Sunday, that he was close. So it was good to see him out there. He didn't do team stuff, but good to have him out there, especially with some new backers in camp. You want to get these guys acclimated to each other. So that process started today. Yeah,
he did individual and some special teams work. They didn't do any 7-on-7s, so we don't know if he would have done those, but no 11-on-11s for Nakobe. We'll see if he does them on Thursday. I got to imagine he's probably not going to play in the game.
I would think he wouldn't play.
Because you would want to ramp him up and make sure he's really healthy before he plays.
Yeah, Harbaugh is going to be happy to hear that.
23 in a row down there.
Well, they've got to keep the streak going.
Depth chart.
When can we talk about how stupid that is tomorrow?
We can talk about it every day if you want. I'm fine with that. It's very stupid.
And I love Harbs. I'm friends with Harbs. I've known Harbs 25 years.
It's goofy.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Yeah. And his thing is, well, I want these guys to learn how to win.
But if that's like saying, like, if me and you were walking in the building and I sprinted in and say I won the race, you go, I didn't know we were racing.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Some depth chart stuff here. Myles Jack, more first-team reps for the second day in a row. Basically the same setup as Tuesday. It was Myles Jack and Nicholas Morrow when there were two linebackers out there. When they went to one linebacker, it was Christian Ellis. And then second team was Zach Cunningham and Sean Bradley. I think it's notable now that Myles Jack is working with the first team ahead of Cunningham.
Yeah.
If they had flipped off and on,
right,
that would have been notable too, but in a different way. I think I'm taking note that Myles Jack, in my mind, is in the lead to win one of these jobs.
I would agree with that.
Well, the job that's open.
Yeah, he's also first team all quote, by the way.
We'll get into that. We talked to Myles Jack after practice.
Quote machine.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you see him 2 days in a row, then that's when you know they're serious about it. So he's going to get a crack at this. Obviously,
still very curious when Nakobe Dean comes back, how that works out, because that's really the test.
Yeah.
But yeah, notable that he's out.
Probably won't be till next week.
We'll see. You don't think there's any chance tomorrow?
That he's full?
Yeah.
I guess there's a chance.
Or at least maybe they'd rotate him a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Bradbury's been back. He's off the injury report now, and he was doing team stuff today, but not all the team reps. He did half of them.
Right. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I hope so.
Yeah, I do too. I don't have a ton other here. Second team offensive line was the same. Josh Andrews back at center with that second team. We'll get into that in a little bit. This one defensive line was interesting to me, and they only had it out there once. From left to right, it was Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Derek Barnett, and Hassan Reddick. So Barnett getting a rep inside and kind of like a NASCAR package, but it's not a NASCAR if Jordan Davis is out there. It was kind of a weird look, really uneven line.
Yeah, that's like Atco Speedway line.
It was closed, by the way.
I saw that.
Yeah, kind of like out of nowhere.
Out of the blue, right? They just said we're now closed.
Yeah, I think they had events and everything.
Yeah, they had a race that night. That's sad. That's always been there. And, I worked down there. Gloucester County Times was real close to Atco. And that was a fixture forever.
Yeah.
And I loved going, just driving by and listening to those cars, man. It was great. But, it's a shame. But anyway, it's an interesting front. And we're going to see, we've talked about this. We're going to see these guys in unusual spots and different spots. What do you make of Barnett? They seem to be including him.
Sure. I mean, he's getting some first team reps here and there. It's obviously like the first team defensive line reps you take with a little grain of salt, because it's like these guys are going to rotate in the season and they're rotating now, but he's part of that rotation, and he's above guys like Janarius Robinson and Kyron Johnson and Patrick Johnson when he's healthy. Like Barnett's still ahead of those guys in the pecking order, it seems.
It sure does.
Some of that might just be deference because he's been here longer.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you get your better players ahead in the depth chart, and he's still ahead.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. You want to just get into the Barnett thing today?
Yeah.
Our first little scuffle of training camp, a kerfuffle, if you will. Did you have you were on that side? Did you get a better look at it than me?
I didn't get a great look. I didn't see how it started.
Okay, it was basically a wide receiver screen.
Yeah.
And Landon Dickerson had a crackback block on Barnett, and as much as Barnett has earned his reputation, I understand why he was mad. It was a tad much on the crackback block.
And we were. I think you guys were guessing who's going to be in the first fight of the summer.
He's always a safe bet, even though he started.
Even if he's not on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was hurt at the beginning of camp, and he was still the most likely.
Right.
And it was funny. I was having that conversation with Jimmy Kempski in one of the early training camp practices, and he picked Barnett, which I was like, that's the wise choice. But I was like, even with knowing that he's not doing all the team drills yet, he said, yeah. And then as soon as it happened, he texted me and said,
yeah. I mean, it wasn't a fight.
It wasn't a fight. It was a scuffle. It would have become a fight if people didn't step in.
Yeah.
So it was a crackback block. Barnett gets thrown to the ground. Dickerson left him, kept going with the play. Barnett got up with intent. It was like beeline to Dickerson, pushed him, shoved him over. Those two were separated. I understand why Barnett was mad. That is a 15-yard penalty in the game. It's probably they're going to catch the guy who retaliates.
Yep.
And it's like the team likes his edge. It's stupid crap like that gave him this reputation.
It's true. I could see why he did it, but this is his reputation, and he's a guy who, when a ref sees him do something, he's not going to get any benefit of the doubt.
Never,
ever, just because that's his reputation, and he's going to get that flag every time.
Yeah, he's just got to be smarter, and at this point in his career, it's not happening. I think he's like, in terms of the player he is, in a way, I think he's a better player than fans think he is. He's not an awful player, but a play like that can cost your team in a game.
Sure.
So I understand the frustration. I think he's going to be on this roster, though.
Starting to think that.
Yeah, unless they trade him.
Starting to think that they won't.
Me too.
That's a wild story. I mean, he was kind of not really. I don't think I had him in my. Did I have him in my 53? I might have. I'll have to look back, but
well, it changed when they redid his deal. Like I didn't think he was going to be back.
But we did our 53s before that.
Yeah.
I think when they changed his deal, then you start thinking, all right.
So I did one in the spring, and I thought he'd be gone. But then they got through the draft, and then they got close to training camp, and I was like, well, I guess he's going to be here because I kind of thought he'd already be gone.
Yeah. Well, you get it's like you get a free former first round pick for nothing.
No, it's not.
It kind of is. I'm trying to find my.
He's like him being drafted in the first round.
He's not a first round player, but
yeah.
I mean, you're getting a guy who's a functional edge rusher.
He's functional, but I mean, that first round label isn't doing him or anyone else any favors anymore.
No, but that's not. My point is, you're basically getting a free player.
Yeah,
it doesn't. So,
who I agree is an average rotational edge player, but the negative is what we saw today.
Yeah,
he can cost your team. He really can. There
was a. Did you see the play where I think it was Kayvon who hit Tyree Cleveland on my sideline? So I think that was what was I on the west sideline? Hit him late, and Tyree started going after him, and Kayvon just walked away, and a couple guys got in front of him, and nothing ever happened. Nick doesn't want these guys fighting.
No one does.
Yeah.
I think you want to have a little fire, but fighting is stupid in practice.
Some coaches love it.
I don't think anymore.
I see some of the videos from around the league. See these brawls. I think Nick reminds them all the time. You're just going to get hurt. You're not helping anybody.
Yeah. You want to see, you want to jaw a little bit. You want to have a shoving match. That's fine. Once you start taking swings at guys in helmets, it's just stupid.
Not smart.
Yeah. Although I did see Jamal Singleton had the boxing glove out for ball security. I was like, hey, get those boxing gloves out if you're going to do it. Anyway, that was Derek Barnett's day. Right after that, the very next play was Jalen Hurts' best throw. Deep ball to A.J. Brown over Keely Ringo. Notable in itself that Keely was out there. And I thought he had pretty good positioning. It was just Jalen throws a pretty deep ball, and him and A.J. are just – they have a rapport.
They're locked in. I don't think it was a particularly sharp day for Jalen.
Or the offense in general.
Or the team in general. But that was a sweet play. And I talked to Ringo. We'll get into that. He's had a few of those where it's like, what else could I do? Yeah. And AJ just comes up with the catch. He's had a bunch of those this summer. And he said, it's a good rep for me. I'm getting better because of how good he is. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wrote this in my observations, and I think it's a good thing to remember. It was a terrible day. Not terrible. It was a sloppy day for the offense. Hurts wasn't having his best day. And then you see a play like that, and you're like, okay. I mean, sometimes they're going to be slow starts in games and things aren't going to be going well. It's nice to have A.J. Brown in your back pocket.
Jalen is prone to slow starts.
Sometimes.
I think that I remember him opening games up 1 for 7, 1 for 8. And then you look at it later and he's 22 for 29. It's like, wait a minute. He's had 1 incompletion since the first drive. But he does seem to, I don't know if he comes out too juiced up. He'll fire a little high early, but yeah, I mean, I wonder if how fresh his arm is right now. He's doing a lot of throwing. He just the whole first team offense just seemed out of sync today.
I agree with that,
and maybe Devontae not being there is a part of that. Certainly,
yeah. There was one timing route to Quez where they were just off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then look, the first team defense is good. You have Hassan Reddick coming around the edge, and there have been times where they're rotating that first team offensive line to get the old guys out of there.
Right.
I mean, that has an effect on it.
Now you have Tyler Steen at right guard.
Yeah, and you have, well, really, the real one is Jack Driscoll at right tackle.
He had a tough day today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you.
Yeah. Britton Covey had his best play at camp.
What a catch! Great
catch, beautiful ball from Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, down the left sideline.
It was kind of like a slot fade, I think. Zach McPherson in good position, but it was just perfect pass. That was coming right at me. I thought Covey was going to run into me.
The cool thing about that throw was, I mean, Covey's not a speedster, but he caught up with it and fingertipped it, and it was funny because he was so happy, but they were in a hurry up. He had to he was scrambling to get back to the line of scrimmage, but he hasn't really. He doesn't have a lot of opportunities to shine in the passing game, but he's caught the ball fine. From what I've seen this summer. Yeah,
the benefit for him of Devontae not being there was everything gets pushed up. So you have Alameda with the first team now, and it leaves some second team reps in the slot, and he made the most of one of them.
Yeah, he did.
Mariota had his best day of the summer.
He did.
After having his best day of the summer yesterday.
Yeah, that's encouraging.
Yeah, it is encouraging. It was pretty bad early on, to the point where you were starting to get worried about him.
Concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Not worried. Worried's one step beyond. Yeah, but yeah, I thought he threw the ball well today.
He did. Worth noting, I said it earlier, Josh Andrews at center. It looks like it's calmed down that second team offense a little bit.
I think that's a big factor.
Yeah, Brett Toth was really struggling to snap the football. A lot of worm burners. Just, if you're Mariota and you can't rely on the football getting to your hand, it probably does have an effect. So just getting a competent center out there, the ball's going to get to you. I think that's probably helped quite a bit.
Yeah, the guy who hasn't played who hasn't been in a camp till 2 days ago.
Yeah, but he's played a lot.
Yeah, yes.
What do I have next here? Tanner McKee had that really long drive.
This is his best drive.
Yeah, 3s versus 3s. Man, he threw that one slant to Johnny King, who's the new receiver here, who's just a giant, but
6'5".
He winged that ball in there. Some serious heat on it. Still haven't really seen him unleash the arm on a deep ball, but in those short to intermediate routes where he can kind of unleash it, he's got a strong arm. It comes out fast. Yeah,
that was a good throw. And Johnny King had a couple nice catches today.
Yeah, one of them was another slant for a touchdown to cap off that period.
Right. That was a nice play. He caught the ball well. with that kind of size.
He's looked good. Hey, you never know. Remember when DeAndre Carter came into camp late and ended up winning a roster spot?
Yeah.
You never know.
Never know. It's going to happen. And it's amazing just how much the roster's changed just in the last week.
Yeah. Yeah, really a lot of, you bring in 3 new offensive linemen. You bring in
2 of them who were on the team in 2014.
That's weird. 2 linebackers. You have a new receiver. A lot of
2 new receivers, really, if you include the hurdler. But Johnny King caught my eye today. And when a guy's 6'5", you notice him.
That's I told you this yesterday. I didn't really know much about Johnny King, and I'm looking out there like, who the heck is that guy?
Wonder how much it helps him that, you got to think what Shane's running out in Indy is pretty similar to.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, I'm sure the Eagles were looking for a receiver, and they called Shane and said, hey, what do you think about this guy? And Nick and Shane still talk.
You think? Nick calls him every day.
What did you make a week?
That was weird. I know what you're going to say.
The Gannon thing?
He called Gannon, and Gannon didn't answer.
Gannon didn't answer. Now, let me ask you something. If you would probably, at least get back to him, right? If you're Gannon?
He didn't say he didn't get back to him.
Yeah.
But he I don't know if he's trying to be funny or if it was weird. Yeah, he said, I talk to those guys all the time. I miss them. They were my friends or I got really close with them. I called Gannon the other day. He didn't answer.
So I have friends who I understand texting's normally easier, but sometimes there are situations where a phone call is going to accomplish something way quicker than a text. I'm not a big call to talk to you guy. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to chat.
Well, if we have more than 2 things to figure out, we'll call each other.
Yeah.
Because then you get to the point where it's easier than texting.
Easier, yeah. But I have some friends who they
just want to talk.
They just no. They want the opposite. They're texters. They want to text. I'm like, yeah, I can spend the next half hour texting you to figure this out, or we can hop on the phone for a minute and just let's get to the bottom of it right now.
Yeah.
There are situations that are different.
Yeah.
I'm a situational phone guy. Nick's a big situational football guy.
Yeah. Well, what does that have to do with Gannon?
I was just thinking about call versus text. I wonder if Nick's a big call guy. It's harder to connect through a text.
That's true. I'll bet Nick's a call guy.
Mm-hmm. A lot of coaches don't have a ton of time.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be texting you a few different times, I'm guessing. So it's hey, I'm walking to a meeting, I can call you. I'm walking or I'm driving home or I'm taking a walk. I can doing a workout.
Yeah.
Calling's probably easier.
Yeah, probably.
Backed up. They worked some backed up drills today. First time in camp, I remember, ball at the 2-yard line, 98 yards in front of you. Eagles had 13 personnel. I think the first time I've seen them in 13.
I think so.
This camp.
I don't remember seeing 3 tight ends.
So you had Goddard, Jack Stoll, and Grant Calcaterra out there. And then the defensive line, the combat that was Hassan Reddick, Jalen Carter, Marlon Tuipulotu, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat. That's a lot of body out there.
A lot of talent.
Yeah, a lot of talent. And Fletcher wasn't even out there for that play. I would imagine in a game situation, he'd be in there probably for Tuipulotu.
Yeah.
But it kind of tells you what they can do in that kind of a backed up situation or on a goal line situation.
Right.
So the sequence here was a 5-yard nice run from Kenny Gainwell to get them out of that danger zone.
Get them out of the soup.
Mm-hmm.
So Kote called it. We were in the soup. We was in the soup. We at the 2-yard line. We was in the soup.
I think that was only 2 days without a Kote?
3.
Before the next play, though, Cam Jurgens' false start.
The soup. I love that.
Tough spot for a false start.
Yeah.
Backs you up. Now you're in 2nd and 10 from the 2. Then eventually you had there was a little run, and then eventually next play by Jordan Davis kind of got through Jason Kelsey to make a stop, and then you had the screen where the kerfuffle happened.
Kerfuffle.
Last little note from me, Justin Evans. He
had a couple plays.
Yeah, I don't think I'd written the number 30 in my notes
since Corey Clement scored.
Well, all training camp. I just haven't written 30 down. He had 2 nice pass breakups today.
He did.
He's been really quiet.
Hasn't done much at all.
Yeah, I came into camp thinking him and Kayvon were fighting for a roster spot, and it's very clear that that's not the case.
Yeah. But he's been steadily with the second team.
I still think there's a shot of him making the roster.
I think anything's possible at that position.
Okay.
Except, I think Sidney Brown and Reed are locks, and after that, who knows?
Yeah, I agree with that. My stupid observation of the day. This was a layup today. Since the practice was at the Linc, I was driving back to the NovaCare complex, and I'm making the left, or trying to make the left onto Patterson, and I'm at the red light, and I see a guy on a bicycle cross the street in front of me.
Was it Matt Collins?
It was not Matt Collins. It was Howie.
It's the guy who drafted Matt Collins.
The guy who that's how he wants to be known. They're going to introduce him in Canton like that. Here's the guy who drafted Matt Collins. Nice little bike ride over to the.
Yeah, he kind of cut me off when I was driving.
It took
back.
Everything in me to not honk that horn.
What do you think the odds are Howie would ask me to induct him in the Hall of Fame when he goes in?
Not great.
Like 1 in 10?
Who do you think would if he goes in? Andy?
No. Joe?
Jeffrey?
Maybe. It's a great question. Maybe.
Why not Andy?
I don't know. I don't think they're super close.
Yeah. By that point, though, you'd think Andy's probably going to be in.
And he'll still be coaching.
You might be right about that. I don't know. There weren't a ton of options. There have been a lot of bridges burned.
I wasn't going to go near that because he's already mad at me. He almost ran me over on his bike. It's a good question. I'll ask him that next time I talk to him, which might be in Canton when he goes in.
Yeah, there's not an obvious one.
No, there's not.
Jeffrey or maybe Julian at that point. Don't know how long that'll be down the line.
I think Jeffrey might make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's been with Jeffrey since, for a quarter of a century.
Yeah. Just about.
When he started, he shared a desk. He shared a desk with a secretary. Now he's like going to I don't know if he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's got a shot. I think he needs to win another Super Bowl.
Okay, yeah, you're probably right. It's tough for an executive.
Myles Jack said, he was 1 week. We'll get to this in a minute. But did you catch what he said in his? He said 1 week you're sitting on your couch hoping you get a job. The next week you're out there practicing with the Super Bowl champs.
He did say that.
He did say that.
Yeah. We'll slip up.
I didn't want to correct him.
He missed that game.
Yeah, well, I'll let him think they won.
Anything else I missed from practice today?
No. Tyler Zentner was crushing the ball. Did you see his punts?
Yeah, I thought Siposs had a pretty good day too, actually, though.
Yeah,
Siposs had that one that he downed at the 4.
Yeah. Covey down at the 4.
No, there was one went untouched. Covey let it bounce, or Greg Ward let it bounce.
That was a different one.
It rested at the 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Zentner seems to be getting more distance, so he seems to be hitting the ball pretty well.
A little bit better. I saw him have a tough hold for a Jake Elliott field goal. Oh, Jake Elliott, by the way, automatic.
He doesn't miss.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You kind of take it for granted, but I haven't seen him miss a kick all camp. I'm not kicking a ton, but he hasn't missed.
Yeah, they don't kick much, but he doesn't miss.
He doesn't need it.
He really doesn't. He's never missed a postseason. Was he 21 for 21 in his career in a postseason?
He's unreal.
Yeah, he's incredible. I guess he's the best I've ever seen. But
yeah. I understand the longevity of Akers, but Jake's a better kicker, right?
Yeah, he is.
It's kind of a different game for kickers
these
days.
I mean, when Akers played, if you made 80%, 82%, you were one of the best ever.
Yeah.
Now you're out of the league.
Yeah, and like the distance, like the regularity they hit from distance now is
it's crazy.
Changed.
It's like I was looking this up. Like 53-yard field goals are now like almost a 50% kick.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like 10 years ago it was like a 20% kick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right,
that's why people are tuning into this podcast for kicking info.
We have some good Myles Jack stuff on the other side. Stick around for that. Catch all the sports action and more at Rivers Casino Philadelphia. Whether it's the money line or the pass line, there's something for everyone in a great sports book. Rivers Casino Philadelphia. Philly loves a winner. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Rube, I have a little game with you coming up at the end of this podcast. But first, we did talk to Myles Jack and Zach Cunningham.
But mainly Myles Jack.
I don't want to completely discount Zach Cunningham because he didn't fill it up for us. But notable if they're here at the same time, Myles Jack's story was interesting. I think they're probably in kind of similar situations, but Jack did a better job describing it.
Yeah, he's very speaks well and eloquently and at length. He was very colorful talking about what the last few days have been like and how, one day, like I said, one day you're just on your couch and he thought his career might be over. He's talking about becoming an electrician. What do you say, a plumber?
Yeah, he was thinking about going to trade school.
Yeah, he was going to learn from Matt Leo. Matt Leo's now coaching him. He could have been coaching him to be a plumber. But he said, I made a lot of money. I don't have to work. I could just sit in the crib and chill, but I like to work. I like to stay busy. I get bored. So he was going to go to a trade school and learn a trade. Good for him. But here he is. He talked about how he flew in. His flight was delayed. He got in 3 a.m, Saturday night, Sunday morning, worked out for the team. Didn't have any clothes. He was very specific about what he did have. and he thought he was going to go back. I think he was in Jacksonville, he said, and he ended up, they called him up and they said, yeah, we're going to sign you, and signed a contract. And the next day he's out at practice, or he watched practice that day. And then yesterday, he did practice with the ones. So it's a very glamorous business sometimes, but other times it's like that. You're in a city that you don't know, you don't have any underwear, and you run into the store to buy some, So it's a whirlwind few days for him, for both of them. And this is a better defense than it was on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think Myles Jack is kind of in the lead right now. We'll see if that changes, if they mix and match a little bit more.
And I wonder what went into that. Like, what do they base that on?
The workout? The
workout, possibly. He could be just in a little bit better shape.
The position fit, because Zach Cunningham said he's that set my radar for a little bit. He's learning the Will and Mike.
Right.
So they might be thinking, okay, we'll kind of keep him around as a backup. He'd be a good fill-in at the Mike. Maybe they're looking at Jack and his athleticism and thinking he'd be a good fit next to Nakobe as the Will.
Yeah. And I would say he's a favorite to start at the Will.
I was asked yesterday on Bird's Huddle to pick my 2 starting linebackers. I said Nakobe Dean and Myles Jack.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. I wrote down my favorite quote. I asked him today because he mentioned he only came with a small bag of clothes because he didn't know he'd be here like indefinitely. So I asked him if he was going to get stuff shipped up here. And he said, I'll wash my drawers and figure it out.
Yeah, he's a piece of work.
Yeah.
You know who he reminded me of, the way he speaks? CJ, Charles Johnson.
I didn't know
he covers the receiver from the Steelers. Interesting. Yeah.
Also from the Steelers?
Yeah.
Is that what did it for
so
you?
I said, it occurred to me as I was saying that they both came from the Steelers, but
although I don't really think of Myles Jack as a Steeler.
Neither do I. He's an Eagle.
Thanks.
I think of him as an Eagle.
I think of him as a Jacksonville Jaguar.
Yeah.
We talked to Zach Cunningham, a little less eloquent about it, but kind of a similar situation. Didn't know what was going on. I mean, these are 2 players who have had a level of success in the league, both high draft picks, and to be out there in August. And it wasn't like Ndamukong Suh, like, I'll play if I want to play, and I'm 35 and I'll.
No, these guys are 28.
Yeah, they still want to play, and they weren't sure if or when that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Anyone else? You talked to Keely Ringo a little bit.
Talked to Keely Ringo.
How was he?
That was interesting. Very confident kid. Very, very serious kid. Didn't crack a smile. Answered all the questions. Calls everyone sir. Thanks for the question. Yes, sir. No, sir. I talked to him about just what it's been like for him coming in as a rookie, and all of a sudden you're working against AJ Brown, who's one of the best receivers in the league, and I've noticed that he doesn't back down, and he'll, even when he gets beat, he's had pretty good coverage most of the time. And he just talked about how good that's been for him and how it's an adjustment to go out there, do your job, feel like you have great coverage, and the guy still comes up the ball. And, how important it is to really learn from it and put it behind you, because you're going to get beat. You just are. You can't dwell on it. So he thinks he's come a long way since camp started. I kind of agree. I think he's looked better. There's still the really ugly reps sometimes. We saw him get beat for a double move in the end zone the other day, where it was a pretty bad rep. But there's going to be fewer and fewer, and he's learning from them, and he's very active on the Philly dog chat room.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift is a little upset that he's not a part of that.
I don't blame him.
Well,
because he's older than those guys.
And he's an offensive player.
Yeah. I think it's the age thing.
I think it's defense.
Maybe.
Yeah. We don't have any younger Georgia offensive players.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, Williams.
We talked to Mylotta. There wasn't a ton of interesting stuff out of that. We talked to Mylotta so much.
There's nothing to ask him right now.
Yeah.
And again,
he's looking forward to seeing Myles Garrett next week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always good action.
I'm looking forward to those joint practices.
That was a really fun day in Berea when you had your mind made up you're going to talk to him, when we saw them talking to each other.
Yeah, well, I figured the worst that could happen was they throw me out, and we were leaving anyway. So. Yeah,
and I memorialized that in a photo.
Yeah, which is still my my profile photo on the artist formerly known as Twitter.
Really?
Hmm?
Do I have a credit? I have a photo credit?
I don't know where I'd put it.
Find a place if you really wanted to.
You're right about that. All right, a little game here.
Yeah.
I have 5 topics, things that might be concerning about this Eagles team. I want you to give me a number 1 through 10, 10 being sound the alarms, I am panicked.
10's most
concerning. 1 is, what are you talking about? That's not concerning at all.
Okay.
I will start off with the linebacker situation.
Well,
it's a little tricky right now, I know.
Yeah, certainly less concerned than I was. I mean, if you had asked me this on Friday, I probably would have said a good 8, but or even 8.5. Right now, I would say 4.5, because you got to remember, we don't know if N'Kobe's any good either. And then now we're relying on 2 guys who've been haven't been in camps, and Christian Ellis, who's never played, and Nick Morrow, who is just a guy. So they're still concerned, but certainly bringing these 2 guys in and seeing how quickly Myles Jack has been able to just come in and take good reps with the ones is certainly encouraging, and so better situation than it was, but still some measure of concern.
Yeah. So you're on like 4.5?
I'd go 4.5.
I'm higher than that.
A little higher.
Still, I haven't I think certainly they're in a better situation now. It was like, to me, it was at an 8 or a 9.
Yeah.
Before it was concerning. It was clearly the weakest spot on a team where we all think Super Bowls in the realm of possibility. I thought there was no way they could go into a season with what they had. I got to see more of these 2 guys, or at least see one of them really stand out.
So where are you now? Like in the 6?
I think I'm around 6 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah, I still think it's a concern.
Okay.
I do. Until I see it.
Yeah. That's fair.
All right. Next. The one guy they really lost on offense, well, they lost 2, but the right guard spot, no more Isaac Seumalo. Cam Jurgens has taken not every rep, but every rep with everyone out there at right guard.
Yeah.
Level of concern with Tyler Steen at right guard this season.
With Tyler Steen?
With Cam Jurgens, sorry.
Because the number's a little different.
Yeah.
Although, who was raving about Tyler Steen as a tackle today?
Mylotta.
Yeah, Mylotta was. He was impressive.
He looks more natural at tackle, which makes sense. He's played there more.
Yeah. I mean, it was impressive how quickly he went from guard to tackle and started playing pretty well. My level of concern.
He might make Dennis Kelly expendable, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cam Jurgens. Yeah.
I guess around a 3 or a 4. I mean, he hasn't played, but man, I think he's gonna be fine. I say 3.5.
I'm kind of with you on that. I think there might be some growing pains though. Like Isaac was very good, but he wasn't always very good.
Yeah.
He was a center moving to right guard, so I think he faced a lot of the same hurdles that Jurgens is going to face making that switch,
Right.
and he struggled. So I think
benched.
I think there is a natural level of strength, like physical strength, that Jurgens has that should help him as an undersized guard. I don't think he's going to be as good as Isaac Seumalo this year.
As good as Isaac was last year.
Yeah.
I think I would agree with that, but I also think he's farther along than Isaac was in his second
year 2. Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, he better be, because Isaac got benched in year 2 for Chance Warmack and then Stefan Wisniewski.
He did get benched for Chance Warmack and then Wiz. Yeah. So I think he'll be okay, but yeah, I don't think he's a finished product, certainly.
Next one, safety.
Yeah.
And everything that position has going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a great story if Kayvon could do it, but I mean, my faith in everyone but Reed is not very high. I think Sidney's going to at some point be pretty good, but I don't think he's there yet. So I would say a good 7.
I'm a little lower than that. I think I'm at a 5 or a 6. I like Reed. I think
but this is like second. This is everything other than Reed, right? Or is this just the safety position?
Safety position.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, I'd probably say 6.5 then, because I mean, I'm pretty confident in Reed.
Yeah, I just think they have enough talent that like they'll figure it out. Have some faith in Sean Desai. That's his position.
Right.
He has a background in that position. I think Kayvon can be a piece. I think Terrell Edmonds will at least like give them a baseline. You know, you probably would like to see Sidney Brown in there sooner rather than later, but I don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah, it might not be.
I think maybe like next week, I want to see Sidney Brown with the first team.
I'd like that.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
Just
see what it looks like.
Like sink or swim time. Let's see it. Do we really need to see more of Edmonds or Kayvon out there?
Well, I mean, if one of those is going to be the opening day starter, then probably yes.
Yeah, but you would think the organization would want to see Sidney out there a little bit.
But, I mean, Sean Desai sitting here saying one of these two guys is going to be my starter. I need to get them ready.
Does he know that?
I think he knows it's not going to be Sidney.
Really?
I think if he knew it was going to be, if he thought Sidney was in the mix to start, I think we would have to see him get reps with the ones this coming week. I think
next week or this week?
Next week.
Okay.
A short week, but yeah.
Well, next week is the joint practice.
Next week is joint practices.
Maybe shorter in days, but magnitude increased.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Next one. The interior of the defensive line without Javon Hargrave and now relying on a few younger players.
Really not concerned. They got a lot of bodies in there. We know what Milton's going to give him. We know what Fletch is going to give him. He's not the player he was, but he's pretty good. Jordan Davis is going to be – I'll be shocked if he's not better than last year. And then the rookie, even if he's not a rookie of the year candidate, he's going to help. I'm not concerned. I'm in the 2.5 range.
Okay.
I like what they have.
Yeah. I like what they have.
There's questions, but I like what they have.
Like losing Hargrave is significant. And for whatever reason, like I don't think we talk about it a lot. I don't know if a lot of people talk about it that much. He's a really good player. Really
good rusher. I don't think he gave him anything against the run where
I don't think he's quite as bad against the run.
Plays pretty bad, but I think they'll be better without him in there significantly better.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Because to say that, we're just saying, well, Jalen Carter's going to be better against the run than Javon Hargrave on day one. I don't know if that's true.
I feel very comfortable saying that.
Based on what?
Just just based on seeing Javon Hargrave try to play the run and based on Jalen Carter's reputation, build, college career.
Okay. Still questions. I think he's going to have a very nice career. They're going to miss Javon Hargrave. I think more than people realize. It can be tough for a young defensive tackle
Sure.
to make that jump. I'm still not super high because I think they have so much depth, and I do like Milton quite a bit. I think you could start Milton and bring Jalen Carter off the bench if you wanted to.
Sure.
And they might do that, like at least to start the season.
So what's your number?
I'm probably like
in the 4 range?
Like I was thinking like 3.5, 4.
Okay. So we're not that far apart.
Yeah. I'd probably go like 3.5. I think 4 is probably too strong.
So I'm 2.5, you're 3.
Yeah. Last one, Brian Johnson as a play caller. And this one might be the trickiest because we don't really like have much to go on.
Yeah. I like everything he said when he's talked about it and his approach, but I thought Nick was going to be a really good play caller, and he had to give it up after a few weeks. Shane was a great play caller. That's a big unknown for me. So, I mean, I would say 5.
I hit my number exactly, 5, because it has to be right in the middle.
Right.
Because like, there's just no way to know. You won't even know in preseason. Like they can try out the mechanics of it,
right,
and like, getting the calls in, but they're not really going to call the game like they would in the regular season.
And teams aren't defending him like
and they're not going to have all their players. So it's like one of those things where
adjustments.
We just don't know. And like he did some of it at Florida, and by all accounts, he was good at it there. It's different. Sport. Yeah, it's a tricky thing because maybe there's no reason to be concerned. Maybe he's gonna be great at it, but we just don't know.
Don't know. What's your gut feeling?
I think he's gonna be good at it, but I have to kind of call it down the middle right now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I think he will be good at it. I kind of look at that year at Florida as the OC. I mean, they were
very good.
Incredible passing offense.
Yes.
I think his familiarity with Jalen really does matter in this instance, because you have to kind of know what your quarterback wants, what he feels comfortable with. He's been around the offense, and just the offense having so much continuity will help. 9 of 11 starters, still the same scheme, still the same quarterbacks, mostly the same offensive line. Like it's an ideal situation for him to be kind of tossed in there.
And he had time with Shane Steichen. It's not like he wasn't here last year.
Yeah.
He's new, but in this job, but he knows personnel, he knows the scheme, and he was watching Shane a lot when Shane was calling plays. And that's only going to help.
Anything else here?
It was good to see Torrey Smith. Did you see Torrey Smith?
I heard he was there. I didn't. He must have been on the other sideline for me. I didn't see him.
Yeah, he was on our sideline. Good to see him. He was there for NFL Network, I think.
I thought Sirius.
Sirius, yeah, you're right. Sirius. Just talked about his kids are all getting older. He said, I don't have weekends anymore because taking them all to games. Good guy. Good to see him. Didn't have a great season in 2017, but had a great postseason. Yeah,
he's one of those guys who, everyone's always going to remember him playing here. He played one season in 2017. He had 36 catches for 430 yards and 2 touchdowns. But he's a hero here forever.
Yeah. Yeah, because what he did in the postseason. But he also picked up 17 DPIs that year.
He did pick up.
He was the best I've ever seen at that. Mm-hmm. I even did a story on this.
I remember that.
His knack for that. And he's like, hey, those should count. Those are catches.
They should count as something.
Yeah, those are my yards. But he's a good guy. It was good to see him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye Podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, click the like button, subscribe there as well. One more practice this week on Thursday. The game on Saturday. We'll be back with you tomorrow with another Eagle Eye. For Reuben, I'm Dave. We'll talk to you soon.